What's up, guys? Abassi here for the British Columbia Football Conference, heading into week number 8 as we approach the best time of the year in fall football. There is nothing like being in a BCFC park on a beautiful fall afternoon or evening. It's a must-do experience for sure. Now, last week, we talked about candidates and really the lock, in my mind, for the Offensive Player of the Year in the BCFC. And now we'll look at the Defensive Player of the Year candidates. In this category, I don't have a lock. I really don't even know who's going to end up winning, and I'm really quite fascinated to see how the votes lie and how this one plays out. Again, admittedly, these awards are very stat-based. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. There's no way everybody can get a chance to, review game film and see all these players live. And the stats quite often do a lot of the talking, whether you like that or not. So you look at the stats, and again, to that point, I had a conversation with some coaches this year. They're talking about the outstanding play of their defensive tackles and the way that they're influencing their defense and the disruption they cause in the middle of the lines and how that's giving them the ability to run, much better defenses and allowing their linebackers to up their tackle totals. But I don't think a defensive tackle and interior lineman is ever going to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, unfortunately, unless they have a bunch of sacks. And it's probably the same for an offensive lineman. I'd be shocked if left tackles ever won Offensive Player of the Year. I don't think that's ever happened, and probably, unfortunately, never will. So looking at some of the stats and some of the guys who are at the top of that list, you start with Malik Womack from the West Shore Rebels. He is tied for the league lead with 5 interceptions. He's got a pick 6 to go with that as well. But right there with him is Andre Gordon from the VI Raiders. He also has 5 interceptions. And then 2 more Raiders right on the list, Givan McNally-Hardesty and Jeremy Chang with 4 interceptions each. Now, unfortunately, in the case of Chang with a broken ankle, he won't be adding to that total over the final 3 weeks of the regular season. Out of Kamloops, a guy like Darby Kwan, he leads the league in defensive points with 90 and has the most tackles in the league, I believe 34 solo tackles on the season. But does that simply mean that he is on the field a lot more than most of the other defensive players, particularly with a team like a dominant offense like the Langley Rams? Their defensive players aren't getting a chance to be on the field for 40, 50 plays a game and to be racking up those tackle totals. So how much do you weigh that? The Raiders, McNally-Hardesty is a compelling take for me as a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He's right up there in points. He's 3rd with 73. Again, has those 4 interceptions to make the case more compelling and a pick 6. And no one in the league has more than 1 defensive touchdown personally this season. Again, I don't have a call. This one could really go anyway, and I can't wait to find out who takes home that piece of hardware. Weekend action for week number 8 in the BCFC coming up. My game of the week, a no-brainer, West Shore Rebels, Vancouver Island Raiders, Caledonia Park, 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Huge playoff implications in the standings with this game. And come on, it's the Raiders, it's the Rebels, it's Caledonia Park, it's a beautiful fall afternoon. Doesn't get much better than that in the BCFC. And then 2 games Saturday evening, the Okanagan Sun visiting the Langley Rams. That is a 5 o'clock kickoff at McLeod Athletic Park. And, this game means a lot more from the Sun than it does for the Rams, I think. Will Langley have a letdown coming off a huge win over West Shore? And have the Sun progressed as far as their head coach thinks that they have over the last couple of weeks? Then the week wraps up, 7 o'clock, the Kamloops Broncos visiting the Valley Huskers in Chilliwack. You know what to do. If you can't make it to the parks, bcfctv.com for all of the live streaming action. And be sure to follow us on our social media channels for plenty of fantastic content. For the BCFC, I'm Dominic Abassi.